Good evening. My name is Kathy Thompson, and I'm the co-founder of Simply Blossoming. I'm thrilled to welcome you to our seminar, Breast Friends with Susan Schroeder and Trish Peterson. At Simply Blossoming, we're dedicated to bringing unique and powerful experiences to women within Canada and beyond. Our focus is centered on women's wellness as it relates to body, mind, and spirit. In addition to our transformational annual retreat, Simply Blossoming offers seminars, workshops, and a Blossom member experience to continue with the personal growth of our community. May 31st is the early bird deadline for our 6th annual Simply Blossoming retreat. The retreat is the perfect opportunity to focus on you while enjoying the breathtaking views in Haliburton, Ontario. It's the weekend of October 21st to the 23rd, 2016. It's my pleasure to introduce tonight's presenters to you in further detail. Susan Schroeder, founder of Lean On Me Nutrition, is an educator, nutritionist, holistic cancer practitioner, and certified metabolic balance coach. She is passionate about helping women exchange fatigued for fabulous, either one-on-one in her Oakville studio or globally online. Susan believes that knowledge is power. She spent nearly a decade empowering and supporting women as they take responsibility for their own health through better nutrition and lifestyle choices, along with the occasional treat enjoyed without guilt. Susan is an engaging and motivating speaker that has shared her message of natural health on TV and radio and with many school, community, and corporate groups. Trish Peterson will be joining us to share some of the wisdom she has gained through her breast cancer journey. Living with the belief that she was untouchable from the threat of cancer until she was diagnosed, Trish has learned a lot about the many ways to reduce the risk of breast cancer through informed and empowered everyday lifestyle choices. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Susan. Susan, I'm unable to hear you at this time. I'm not sure if your microphone is muted.
It should be good. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yes, I can.
Well, that's weird. Okay, so my microphone was not muted. Okay. So I wonder what was going on there. Okay, so shall I just start again?
Let's just carry on.
Okay. So society today is really looking more at breast cancer awareness, which is more fear-based. And I'd really like to get us changing our thinking to be more about breast cancer prevention, which is really action. A holistic approach, which I attain or help people with, is what we eat, what we think, and what we do. Let's look at some of the beliefs that we have in place in our society, and maybe it's time to think about a little shift. Some of the myths that we see or come up against is that cancer is caused by our genes. It runs in my family. It's something that you catch. The mindset after cancer treatments of we got it all, which totally disregards the inner terrain of the body. It's definitely something that we can take a different perspective on. I think this would be a good point for Trish to jump in and give a little bit of her perspective about this.
Yeah, thanks, Susan. Definitely. I mean, these were some of the myths that I believed prior to my diagnosis. In my in my experience, I thought I was living a fairly healthy lifestyle. I was physically active. You know, what I know now is that I wasn't quite eating all of the foods that would go far to reduce my risk. But I wasn't doing too bad, and I come from a big family. There was no cancer in my family. I'm one of six siblings and lots of aunts and uncles, and there's no breast cancer in my family at all. And so I really felt I was untouchable from cancer, or from breast cancer specifically, because of that. Now I know better.
That's excellent, Trish. Thank you for your comments there. So we do know that only 2% of breast cancer cases are really directly attributable to genetic defects, which is probably staggering for some people. So the vast majority of cases are actually related to diet, lifestyle, and environmental factors, which really is a big wake-up call that breast cancer is highly preventable. So let's vow to dump the fear for action. So if we're proactive, that actually equals prevention. Today we'll be exploring symptoms of imbalance. These are actually little help messages from your body. Often as busy women and mothers and wives, we don't really pay attention. Sometimes we're just too darn busy, but boy, if you don't listen, you're going to get some bigger messages coming. And we're also going to look at some helpful foods, some factors that affect breast health, and some supportive lifestyle changes. Some of the messages from your body that you may recognize, and you might be one of the ladies that's not really paying much attention to them. Soreness in your breasts, which is very common before your period and generally accepted as the norm. It's definitely not. It can be a sign of estrogen dominance, inflammation, and also nutritional deficiencies. The lymphatic system, which is your sewage highway. There's a diagram, hopefully all of you can see there. The green would illustrate the lymphatic highway. This is your the way that you get waste out of your body, and we can get a traffic jam there. You can have tenderness in your armpits or the side of your neck. Cellulite is often related to it, hence why thin women can also have cellulite. Usually results in a weakened immune system. Vitamin D deficiency is also involved here. It creates a much higher breast cancer risk, mainly because it is so supportive of your immune system. Trish, maybe you would like to say something about your vitamin D status at the time that we started working together.
Yeah, I started working with Susan at the end of last year, 2015, and at the time I was vitamin D deficient, which I was surprised at. I thought I was taking the right vitamins. It turned out I wasn't. And so since then, I've been taking one that you've suggested, Susan, which is a much better form and absorbable. And I just had recent blood work done, and my vitamin D levels are back to normal. So it's an important vitamin, I think, particularly for breast cancer.
That's great, Trish. I'm so happy to hear your levels are up. You've reduced your risk of recurrence greatly. Yay! And then constipation is another huge issue and very common. The wastes that are actually supposed to be leaving your body can actually be reabsorbed, or at least some of them. And this can burden the liver and affect your hormone balance. So I'm challenging you, did you poop today? If not, you're missing an opportunity to support your breasts and all the other parts of your body. So let's take a look at diet. And we're looking at real food here, not from a factory, but actually made by nature or as close to nature as you can get it. Lots of green, that's nature's dominant color for wonderful alkalizing minerals. Foods naturally high in fiber, which of course will support the bowels. Healthy fats, antioxidants, all protectors for your body. Emphasis on foods that are nutrient dense, loaded with beneficial substances, and anti-inflammatory in nature. Low glycemic value, which would be your unrefined carbs, they create healthy blood sugar and insulin balance. Insulin is the hormone that controls blood sugar, and higher risks actually increase cancer risk. And the cancer cells will actually use your circulating blood sugar glucose as fuel. Women with high insulin levels have 3 times greater risk for breast cancer. They do not make normal levels of melatonin, the sleep hormone, that also supports breast health. And they have difficulty losing belly fat. So I know Trish has worked really hard to get her insulin levels down, so maybe we'll get her thoughts here on that process.
Yeah. Again, since I started working with Susan, yeah, I had I had trouble losing that belly fat, and I guess through the choices that I've learned to make, and through the program that Susan offers through Metabolic Balance, choosing the right foods and the right combinations at the right time, I've really been able to increase my waist circumference, and I can't remember, Susan, the last time I checked in with you, but it's like 3 or 4 inches. So, and that is really only from food choices that I've been making that have impacted that. And I have to say, I feel a whole lot better. Like my whole body feels a whole lot better. I'm more in tune with my body, I think, because of it. There's less kind of noise, it feels like, and yeah, I'm quite happy with it.
That's fabulous. And you know what, Trish, you looked fabulous when you first came in too, so you just look even more fabulous now. You carried that little bit of tummy very well, I must say.
Thank you.
So let's look at some particular components of your fabulous diet. Definitely an increase in fiber from vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes. You want to look about 35 grams a day. You can see there that a cup of kidney beans gives you about 15, so you can imagine how low most people are in fiber. Flax seeds are amazing. They actually help with the whole estrogen hormone cycle in the body, very important. And improving bowel function is one of the wonderful things that fiber does, obviously preventing that dreaded constipation and the reabsorption of waste. It helps your liver as well because it's going to help you move the toxins out of the liver. Great source of antioxidants and plant-based protein as well. So definitely a winner there. So the brassica family of vegetables are the real superstars as well for breast health and cancer protection. You can see the list there. Liver detoxification, indole 3 carbinol is one of the major components. It actually helps you there's a protective form of estrogen that helps almost double. And for people that say they have hard times digesting raw brassica vegetables, totally okay to have them lightly cooked. Softens up the fiber and makes them much easier to digest. Healthy fats are incredibly important for all the parts of your body. Good fat does not make you fat. Let's try to get past that whole myth. Omega-3s from wild-caught cold water fish, flaxseed, hemp, walnuts. Omega-9s from olive oil, avocados. They're all fabulous, eaten in the right amount, of course. And omega-3s in particular are so important because every cell in your body needs them. They're anti-inflammatory superstars. You cannot make them in your body. You need to get them from your diet. You need them for proper hormone production. And it's really difficult to get enough with our modern diet. So often supplementation is really important. to protect and make sure you have enough. Green tea, some of you have probably heard, is incredibly protective for breast, and it's basically shortened the component in it to EGCG because it has that big long name that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. If you get a nice organic green tea, you're going to protect yourself from some of the common contaminants like aluminum that are in many of the common drive-through brands. We'll leave that one nameless, but you want to get definitely a good quality organic green tea. It actually helps the cancer cells commit suicide, so that's pretty cool. Green tea does have a small amount of caffeine, so it really is best to have it earlier in the day, probably by 2 p.m. if you're the type of person that's bothered by the caffeine. Sea vegetables are amazing. There's so many of them that are available. They're high in iodine, which is protecting your breast and thyroid tissue. They may actually account for why Japan has that low breast cancer incidence. It isn't actually just based on the fact that they have low meat consumption. It actually has a lot to do with their high intake of sea vegetables, which are also high in minerals. Kelp is actually traditionally used to break down tumors in Chinese medicine. There's a spice blend called Herbamar that contains kelp. It's a really tasty thing to sprinkle on your food. Kombu is actually great for reducing the gas caused with eating the beans and lentils. If you get the Eden brand organic canned vegetables, they already have it in there, so they're pretty easy to digest. So spring is coming, and dandelion greens, you might think they're a pain because they're on your lawn, but they're actually an incredible detoxifying vegetable. They can actually decrease your estrogen levels by assisting your liver function. They actually promote the bile flow, which is how the waste comes out of the liver. It's actually stored in the gallbladder temporarily. Historically, the dandelion greens and roots have been used in prevention and treatment of actual breast cancer. They actually help reduce lymphatic congestion in that sewage highway that you have. The wastes flow freely to be eliminated. So if your neighbors are chemical free, they're not spraying their lawn, you could actually eat your weeds. Herbs and spices and essential oils also have amazing properties. The essential oils have been used since the beginning of time. You hear so much about them nowadays, really popular area of natural health interest. So some of those turmeric, particularly curcumin with the anti-inflammatory properties, rosemary for cleansing the liver and kidneys, and sage, which is also very protective with these antimicrobial, antifungal, antibacterial type properties. So pretty amazing substances. And as a bonus, spices can add flavor to your meals with few calories. So we don't need as much sugar and nasty salt. And frankincense essential oil, it's actually from the resin of a boswellia tree. It's actually amazing for breast health and so much more in the body. Actually amazing spiritual connection oil as well. Obviously one of the oils that the 3 wise men brought to the baby Jesus. They knew what was right even back then. Bring on some veggies and fruit. We often start taking fruit out because we've been told that it's too sweet and too much sugar and it's going to make us gain weight, but it's actually a great source of antioxidants and vitamins. Fruit and vegetables give you some slow burn carbs for sustained energy. The more colorful, the better. Apples really can keep the doctor away if you eat it with the skin, the fiber, and then you get some wonderful quercetin, which actually has been shown to slow down cell division of cancer cells. And it's actually really great for seasonal allergies, which is a time that we're coming into now. So there's a great website to check out, ewg.org, to find out about which ones are really best to get organic. Fruit is definitely fun and we do love it, but again, not too much. And it's actually best enjoyed as a dessert in a salad or with a little nut butter. If you have it alone, it can actually cause a blood sugar spike. So maybe Trish, you could give your how you shifted some of the fruits and vegetables in your diet.
Yeah, I think just to your last point, I was good with eating my fruits, but I was using them as a snack, and so now I'm consistently eating them, but only as a dessert to a meal, so only within the mealtime period there. And then apples. We go through a lot of apples in our house these days. We're all eating an apple a day, and I really. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great practice and enjoyable to do too. So
that's good. And they're so portable as well for busy people. They can just throw them in their bag, or it's so easy to travel with apples. So now water's not food, but it is, I'm going to put it in here because it is so important. When we're dehydrated, everything slows down, like way down. Everything's reduced, detoxification. Your lymph fluid actually needs to be thin to work effectively, so being hydrated is really important. By the time you actually feel thirsty, you're actually way past dehydration. If you're not loving plain water, you can certainly add a drop of a food grade essential oil, and just to give it a little bit of flavor. And it's actually best to drink your water between meals so that you don't dilute your digestive juices. That can be a big shift for people. Definitely highly beneficial if you suffer from any sluggish digestive system things. And lemon water in the morning is actually very alkalizing, and it can jumpstart your digestion for the day. You can use a quarter of an organic lemon squeezed into your water first thing in the morning, and that can be nice and refreshing. You will actually get some of the lemon oil from the rind, and that can actually be really uplifting. So let's jump over now to some lifestyle choices and habits. And there's some really helpful things. Obviously, regular exercise will come at no surprise. I know Trish had that part really nailed. She gets out there and goes for a run. Even a brisk walk can help a lot. You're going to move your lymphatic fluid. You're going to get some wonderful endorphins to raise your spirit, and get out in nature and get some wonderful oxygen. Sleeping is incredibly important as well. It's your time to rest and repair and move those toxins out. If you eat late at night and you go to bed, you're actually going to be digesting, not repairing. So think about rest and repair, not digest. Blood sugar balance, as we talked about earlier, and Trish said with the 3 meals a day. If you're avoiding your white and refined flours that spike your blood sugar, you're actually going to do well to produce your own melatonin. That's that protective sleep hormone. And you should be able to drift off to a nice deep sleep. Thermography is another interesting thing to explore. It's a great choice beyond mammograms, and it identifies areas of heat and inflammation, often related to development of cancer. It's a great way to be proactive. Now, Trish has some really good firsthand information about this, so if you want to share a little bit of that, Trish, it would be great.
Yeah, I have some experience working with thermography. And it's something I discovered after my diagnosis. Prior to that, I was having regular mammograms, which I highly promote as well. But thermography is great in addition to mammograms to really, it's not looking for disease as much as it's a measure and looking at your breast health. And as you mentioned, Susan, is looking at areas of inflammation, which are indicative of disease. And so the practice would be to have a regular thermography done, ideally annually, and to see if there are any areas of concern that need to be followed up with further investigation through mammogram or ultrasound, or both. So it's a great tool to kind of ensure that your breasts are healthy and not inflamed, and as a good, I think, not an alternative, but an in-between kind of assessment.
Yep, that's great information. Thanks, Trish. Laughter, smiles, and hugs are cancer protective. They can actually increase your white blood cell activity, and your white blood cells are part of your immune system. So let's all vow to have some more of that. Some things to avoid. Alcohol beyond moderation has actually been shown not only to create blood sugar imbalance, but also to throw off your estrogen hormone. Smoking is a direct link to cancer. I don't think there's any surprise or explanation needed there. Electromagnetic frequencies from cell phones and other electronic devices. Women are particularly sensitive to these devices, especially when you're sleeping. So please get them away from your body. You can, keep them charging another place in the house. Would definitely benefit you. You can protect yourself against electromagnetic frequencies by being out in nature. You've probably heard about grounding, which is basically standing in your bare feet on the beautiful grass. Or you can hug a tree. There really is a reason why people become tree huggers. I must confess I've done it myself on many occasions. Stress. Find some time for deep breathing and stillness every day. It helps with everything. Cleaning up your beauty regimen is really important too, because everything you put on your skin is being absorbed. Many common beauty products ingredients actually become xenoestrogens. So these are external estrogens, which can actually contribute to hormonal imbalance in the body. And you think about how many products you could potentially put on your body by the time you leave your bathroom in the morning. It's quite staggering. You can actually, again, go to ewg.org and look at products at their Skin Deep Cosmetics database. You can actually look up products that you may have in your home just to test, just to see what ingredients might be problematic. And of course, there's lots of wonderful natural products available to us. So no conversation about breast health would be complete without looking at the mind-body-spirit connection. Again, a holistic approach. Your energetic, emotional body wants balance too. Think of what the breasts symbolize to a woman. Mothering, nurturing, nourishment. Breast issues are often related to issues around nurture. So a lack of self-care, putting everyone else first, a refusal to nourish yourself, probably sounding pretty familiar to many of you. Resentment of nurturing others with no respect in return. So this is the going out there for the mothers of teenagers sometimes. Frustration with people you give your love to, or you put all your eggs in one basket and it came up empty. Louise Hay says it's related to over-mothering, over-protection, or overbearing attitudes. So that's a little bit of some things you can see if there's any relevance in your life with those points. In review, balance is beautiful. Eating real food, including lots of vegetables and some fruit in a rainbow of colors every day, healthy fats and healing spices, drink plenty of clean water, clean meaning ideally fluoride and chlorine free, exercise, move, get out in nature. It doesn't have to be a gym. There's lots of other ways to get your body moving that are more pleasurable if exercise at a gym isn't your thing. Sleep more, stress less, enjoy lots of laughter, smiles, and hugs every day. And a little bonus takeaway for you there with a little sweet ending is Giddy Yo-Yo chocolate. which is actually incredibly high in antioxidants and minerals, which makes it a good treat food. Giddy Yo-Yo is actually made in Canada, and it is an incredible product. So that would be something that you could treat yourself with, because I'm all about having some fun once in a while too. So let me just see, Trish, did you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
Just one thought about, and I guess it summarizes a lot of what you've shared here, is that there is so much that we can do to reduce our risk for breast cancer. By making the lifestyle choices that support and reduce our risk for developing breast cancer. It's staggering the impact that you can have on your risk for breast cancer. And it's not only for me as a survivor of breast cancer, but for anybody, any woman. There's so much that you can do to reduce your risk through everyday lifestyle choices. And all these choices made from a place of love for yourself rather than from a place of fear. It goes tremendously long way too.
That was beautifully said. Thanks, Trish. So we'll wrap up for tonight. Again, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your opportunity to share this valuable information with you. And thanks to Simply Blossoming for providing this opportunity. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to get in touch. My contact information is there, and Susan, leanonmenutrition.com, or directly by phone. So have a great rest of the day, and thanks for listening.
Thank you so much to both Susan and Trish for sharing all this really valuable information. I've actually learned a lot personally through the presentation, and I know a lot of women and men will get a lot of great information from this. So thank you very much to both of you for taking the time to present this to us. And I wanted to thank you all for watching and listening, and hopefully you learned some valuable tips to implement in your own lives. Join us for the next Simply Blossoming webinar, which will be on May 17th at 8 p.m., called Feeling Fabulous and Flaunting It with Barb Sotos. So with that, I will say have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.